FlatsClass fans, welcome back to our channel. Today's edition, well, we're going to talk a little bit about how you can catch some of these right here. That's right. We have been smoking the trout lately, and most of it has been on some really big baits like the Mirrolure Duke Dog, but there's a couple of others I'd like to share with you. I've been fishing with some pretty incredible people, a lot of my loyal clientele, and even my wife, and we have just been on fire. The last 14 days have been spectacular. So the bite is on here on the west coast of Florida, and I want to share with you some of the lures and a few of the tricks that have been successful for us. So stay tuned. I think you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, before we break straight into what's really been carrying the water for my clients and my wife Blondie, because I fished with her, you saw that I fished with her just last week. These last 14 days have been just spectacular. I've been doing a lot of content on the water. As soon as I got back from Southwest Florida filming television, I went right back to trying to clean up some of my charter calendar. And when we hit base in April, sometimes the snook bite, and sometimes because of spring break, the redfish get a little neurotic and it's just hard to catch them. So I start most of my days off just after sunrise targeting trout. And the speckled trout that we have in that 1.5 to 3 foot depth in the month of April at least for the west coast of Florida, where we have water temperatures, and I know it's really relative to where you are, that typically are very low 70s in the morning. Sometimes they're high 60s, but very low 70s, and then they climb as the day goes on up to about 78 degrees. But I've been finding these larger, the female size, as you can see my buddy right here, Monkey Mike, is holding up. That's a big trout there. These spawning size females have been alongside these mullet schools. So it's like I'm looking for mullet muds, and you gotta have a lure that will have some drawing power, something that will get their attention, because they're just sitting in there, and when they're in the wide open, away from the mullet muds and away from the schools of just activity, any of the little zones that have most of the activity and current, you see them as you pull over them, but you can't catch them. But I've been playing around with a couple of bigger baits. Some of them are traditional baits that I throw every time when spring rolls around, but like this one, like the one we started the intro off with, and that is a Topwater Plug. Now this is the Mirrolure Duke Dog. This is the old Catch 5 body where they move that hook hanger back a little bit. This has a very upright walking style to it. Reminds me of the old school head and spitting image, if you will, just in a bigger, bulkier body. The Duke Dog actually won an award at last summer's iCast. And it's a one knot bait, and when you're trying to draw attention to a topwater plug, when you've got a lot of stuff going on in the mornings, because in the morning it's like all the bait is grouped together. That's just the way it is. And that is your best opportunity to get those big trout. So we're out there early doing it, and the Duke Dog has been like a go-to. As that sun gets up and it gets a little trickier, if we've got overcast days or a little bit more wind that's kind of wrinkling the surface and I can't use that Duke Dog, I have been going to this, which is, it's a slow sink plug. It's the Mirrolure XL. This is the 27 MR. Now this is a custom color called, and you can see how much flash with the flanks that this one has. And yes, these are not factory hooks. These are BKK Fang hooks that I picked up at sodiumusa.com. But this bait has a lot of spank in it, if you know what I mean. It is just flashy, super flashy. When I throw it in those muds and in those those schools in the morning, it seems like we draw a big fish out of there, and it's been known to catch its share of redfish as well. So basically those two hard baits are what we start that morning bite off with. My wife is a fan, and here's a pic right here of one of the trout that she caught with me the other day. She's a big fan of this bait in particular, which is, she likes the baby goat, but I've been having her throw the ZAM Goat on a Texas eye, okay? Now, this bait here is rigged, it's basically a swing head, okay? So the Texas eye allows that head to swing, but if you look real close, you can see how that line tie is very far forward, and there's no catch there. You're not going to catch anything on that head. So where we fish, there's a lot of rocky points and things like that, and you can get caught up. So having the EWG on a soft bait like this with that head, that allows you, even if she gets kind of caught up, if you take the pressure off the tip of the rod, take the pressure off, let it relax a second, bounce the rod a couple of times, it'll just shake off and you can still reel it and rarely get hung up. This is unique. Now the key to this is to tie a clinch knot to the line tie. There's no need to tie another loop knot to something that has a swing head, because the swing head gives you all the action you need. It acts as if you already tied the loop knot. So don't do the loop knot to a swing head. You don't need to do that. But this bait has twin legs. I have no idea what they think it is, but we can make that contact with the grass and the rocky points. And it's just a good color. And you will pick up your share of redfish doing this as well. Now, the two baits that the clients have been really wrecking them on, like my buddy here that is part of the Sam's Jones barbecue group, Michael, and then Lucas, who was fishing with Monkey Mike. These baits have just been fantastic, which is, you guys know I've been talking about this one a lot. This is the 4-inch unrigged Moleton from Z-Man. It's a wedge tail bait. It's a beautiful swim bait. This is the beer run color, which is a great color for this time of year, especially on the brighter days. I like to rig it on a 30-degree head here. This is the redfish eye. The long shank gives this bait a little bit of spine. It also protects if we end up catching a snook, which Michael did right here. So it keeps the leader from getting shaped, because I got a little bit more hook gap, a little bit more hook. So Mike did a great job. This little 4-inch Moleton has been on fire. It actually made my top 5 baits for April. And the other bait that does really well this time of year, especially when you get out of March and you're going into April and early May, just because not only the trout fishing is outstanding, but as spring break ends and other things start going on, you'll have those opportunities to skip bushes and work island points and cuts. And with a 5-inch jerk shad on this ZWG hook, and I'll pull one out here. I probably got one sitting here. If I don't, I've got one right here. These baits have a little keeper on them that hold the Elastec on there. They also have a silicone bead, you'll notice, behind the weight. And what that does is when you tuck it up inside the bait, when you go to hard throw or skip or anything like that, the tail does not come down. Does not come down. Let me get that. And as hard as I hit it, the tail doesn't come down. But when a fish bites it, it exposes the hook quite easily. And then you've got a great system here. I find it, much to my enjoyment as a fishing guide, a lure that works well with that type of hardware, because we're not constantly having the client or myself getting down and re-rigging. And you got to remember, the Elastec has its own, it's got its own memory. So, you know, you can't destroy these. If you don't rig them right, just re-rig them, you know. You can't tear them up. It's impossible. So I just wanted to share all of that with you in this video, what's been working for speckled trout, give you something to get into the weekend with, because if you haven't been out there lately and you haven't really been pushing it, there's an awful lot of speckled trout if you're in Florida waters right now that you can catch between 17 and 18 inches. That's on the low end, all the way up to 23, 24 inches, depending upon where you are and how you're fishing them. But these larger baits definitely appeal to the bigger female trout. Well, and as you saw the proof, we have been having an incredible April. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks, because once we get into May, we'll be tarpon fishing with you. Okay, that's all I've got for you. Do me a favor, hit that like button, notification bell, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. You do not want to miss tips like these and all the little tactics and techniques that we like to share. Some of these come from our FlatsClassUniversity.com videos, but for the most part, I like to do stuff a little bit more unique here at FlatsClass YouTube. So give us that thumbs up, really appreciate it. And you keep those rods bent and I'll keep those videos coming. Get out there and catch a couple big trout this weekend.